I was saying that IMI is a foundation. It's not a provider. That's why we have within our network wonderful providers, training providers as ADR Hellenic. And it's not an association of mediators. It is a vehicle for the promotion of mediation through quality assurance. And in this picture, there you can see Ivana, the executive director, Pierrick Legoff in the podium, who is the chairman of the board of directors of IMIs. And he is a lawyer, a prominent lawyer from Paris. And you may wonder why a lawyer, a prominent lawyer, is the head of a mediation institution. And that is why I was highlighting that IMI is not an association of mediators. It is a foundation, and as such, it incorporates both mediation users, mediators, other mediation providers, such as training institutions, assessment institutions, and of course, lawyers. So why IMI? We won't have time to deepen into the who, the what, the why, but I would like to state at least the why. And 15 years ago, several prominent ADR providers from all over the world gathered and acknowledged that mediation was being practiced across the world in different ways, in very various ways. In this variability of in the quality of the service that are called mediation in different places is in some way stifling the growth of mediation. So the idea behind establishing IMI 15 years ago was that mediation stability over time, to be recognized as a true profession, depends on a certain degree of consistency in delivering a quality product. Therefore, standards must be high, transparent, and credible. And this was concluded by both mediation providers, but also by users who wanted to have a standard set of criteria to actually engage mediators, for example, from Greece, from Argentina, from Nigeria, from Kenya, Singapore, the US. So they wanted ways to recognize the quality and find these mediators of high quality, high performance, but perhaps they didn't want to look at the national criteria, what the national criteria are. As we all know, in many jurisdictions, local jurisdictions, there are various associations, and sometimes local regulations are the landscape of the local regulation is very confusing to users. So this, it was agreed that this standard set of criteria would be highly beneficial, so that when users engage a mediator and when they look at these mediators, they know that we all speak a common language, let's say. So that is why 15 years ago, 4 main pillars of IMI's mission were agreed upon by these organizations. And these pillars are to set and achieve high mediation standards, to convene stakeholders and parties, to promote understanding and adoption of mediation, and disseminate information and know-how for parties, counsels, and mediators. So IMI has established standards and assessment criteria that are capable of being applied worldwide and also be used as a model for national standards. The point of this is that being a professional is generally seen as an indicator of integrity, ethics, trust, and expertise. Modern mediation, as we know it, is a conglomerate of various practices that come together. So it is not just lawyers who are mediators. So in other places and in certain fields, it is also other professions that build upon their existing knowledge and then become mediators. So the need to have minimum requirements of how to assess mediators, so we can say this is a professional that was very perceived as a need, And also, while these professionals are practicing mediation, to have a set of rules, and that is typically the code of professional conduct or code of ethics, to cover this profession, and to have certain mechanisms. So if a user has a certain grievance against a mediator, they know where to turn to, so that institution can intervene. So that is why IMI credentialing scheme has been established to offer this trust mark of high quality mediators and mediation training through harmonizing mechanisms. It is important to highlight that that the sun is coming out right now. It's 8 a.m. in the morning, and that's wonderful because in Argentina, just a quick note, we're entering into the winter and it's been so cold. So cold. So for me, the sun is like a treat. So sorry about the comment, but it's wonderful when the sun comes out. Well, I was speaking about IMI, which is the point of this talk, and the trust mark that it offers to mediators and mediation training providers, as well as Evie has pointed out, as ADR Hellenic is a high quality organization, both in training and assessment of mediators. So it is important to mention that IMI never intended to prescribe uniform standards. It is a set of criteria that are applied differently in different parts of the world, but they all are based on the overarching principles of transparency, trust, competence, confidentiality, and impartiality. These mechanisms are the mediator peer and client review. This is the way the IMI certified mediator profiles are developed. All the system rests upon mediator, peer, and client review. So it is not enough to only assess somebody's knowledge and practice in mediation. They really need to accredit that they have practiced mediation. So 20 cases or 300 hours of mediation at least, that is a requirement. And mostly and essentially to have this feedback digest of reviews compiled by a peer mediator based on the feedback received from their clients. And of course, the mentioned code of professional conduct for mediators. So throughout the years, IMI, besides the core criteria for assessment of mediators, which is linked to the IMI Certified Mediator title, has also developed various other criteria, such as for the assessment of mediation advocates, and if one is successfully assessed as a mediation advocate or advisor, that depends on the jurisdiction, the designation. The associated recognition is as IMI Certified Mediation Advocate. And also IMI has developed intercultural competencies criteria, and that gives the title of IMI Intercultural Specialist, as well as online dispute resolution, and one can also become a specialist in that field. It is important to mention that investor state mediation criteria has been developed. We have not proceeded yet to create an associated recognition, but the work of IMI has been acknowledged and recognized by UNCITRAL Working Group 3 in the latest public policy documents that have been published this year, with respect of the criteria of who should be appointed as an investor state mediator. And finally, I would like to mention our criteria for quality training programs, trainer, coaches, and assessors. These criteria have been set out in a way that training providers can apply to IMI to be recognized as a Certified Mediator Training Program, CMTP. So IMI assesses organizations against these international standards, organizations that train mediators, so these aspiring mediators, can have a roster of organizations, and they know that these organizations complied with these high quality standards, international standards that have been set out for mediation. And also that they know that these organizations have adequate hours of training, adequate follow-up, robust training in mediation. And also that is important for quality assurance, and also so that they have some recognition after being successfully trained by these organizations. And this is associated with the IMI qualified mediator status, which also gives a person a place on the IMI website with their own profile so they can be searchable. Which is also important to highlight is that these minimum core standards for mediator training are the only ones recognized by an intergovernmental standard setting body as the European Commission for Efficiency of Justice, CEPEG, of the Council of Europe. So that is important to highlight because ADR Hellenic, which is a CMTP, the core criteria that you comply with are also recognized by the European Commission for Efficiency of Justice. And also, ADR Hellenic is a qualifying assessment program. You can see their criteria for qualifying assessment programs, which means that you can assess highly experienced mediators for the purposes of IMI certification, which is the international gold standard for mediator certification.